Hello? I wish I was a little bit taller. I wish I was a baller. I wish I had a girl who looked good. I would call.
G'day, ballers, and welcome to the Baller NRL SuperCoach podcast. My name's Jono, coach of Hungry for More, and wowee, hasn't the carnage bug hit SuperCoach early this year? We're in round 4. I'm staring down the barrel of only being able to field exactly 18 players as it stands. Not what we wanted, but with me to help sift through all the rubble are a couple of SuperCoaches who are also in tricky predicaments this week. First up, he is the self-proclaimed head honcho of the Baller podcasting arm. He has finished in the top 500 4 years in a row, including number 23 last year. He's the coach of the Terrace crew. It's Matt Ricks. How you going, Matty?
G'day, Jono. I'm good, mate. Pumped to be here. I had a bit of a shocker on the weekend. No Joe Chan. Not through not wanting him. I certainly tried to talk a lot of teams into buying him, but it just didn't really fit. I was going to have to. I bought Jacob Preston, and then obviously we got the news about Lasardi through 15 minutes later. And that just basically priced me out of Joe Chan. I would have had to have sold Paseka for a boost, and I just wasn't willing to do that. So that was a bit disappointing, but I was real flat Saturday morning. But it's funny, like you feel like it's just this is the end of the season. Then 2 days later, we're into Teamless Tuesday, and I'm pumped to get back, into it. So let's do it.
Where are the Terrace crew sitting, ranks-wise?
We're in the 2500s, so we dropped down about 1,500 spots. I was pretty happy with that. Jackson Purdue saved my weekend with a brilliant ton on Sunday afternoon. I didn't get to see any of the game, but I was very happy to see Purdue's score going up and up. So yeah, I feel like I'm okay placed relatively. Team's in an okay shape, and there's some big moves to be made this week. I'm probably use my first boost.
Nice. All right. Well, our other SuperCoach expert who's joining us tonight is one of the best strategic thinkers in all of SuperCoach. And geez, we need some strategy with all the carnage going on. He is a former third place overall finisher. He's the coach of the Casa Bonitas. It's Danny Boyd. How are you going, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm good. Green Arrows this week. Very happy with that. Bought Joe Chan, but I didn't play him, so that was just a bit disappointing. I think the Sit v Start versus Moses Leo cost me about 90 points, and it's really interesting this year. Sit v Starts are already coming into it in round 3. Usually you're just fielding a relatively strong 15, 16 players, and this year you've got up to 20. But this week, obviously, massive carnage, particularly for those boys who jumped on Souths, which wasn't me, but I believe you're in that predicament, Jono.
Yeah, mate, I've got 4 Rabbitohs. That does include the Cheese, who obviously hadn't been a factor in my team yet. But yeah, those 4 Rabbitohs out, then plus the suspensions and injuries that have come through, has definitely rattled Hungry for More. So I was hoping to have a 0 trade week. I'm now eyeing down a couple.
Talking about analysis, mate, I think we'll be asking you, throwing the questions back to you now. What's your rank currently?
Yeah, Hungry for More, sitting number 31. I've actually asked my 2 kids. They no longer call me daddy. I make them call me 31. The wife still call me daddy, but that's not SuperCoach related. That's a whole different
Jesus
thing.
Christ.
The Jono 31s.
So Jono 31s. But no, look, I'm pumped. I mean, Tubes was into me. I said on the Sunday snap, I said, I'm not getting ahead of myself. I'm a little bit worried about this week. And Tubes has called me a US billionaire complaining about the price of the market while other people are fighting for scraps. So I won't get too much into that gear. I'll just say I'm pumped. 31's the highest I've ever been. Let's see if I can maintain it.
Well done, mate. Congratulations. You've been working hard on your SuperCoach, so it's good to see you reap some early season rewards.
That felt a little bit backhanded, didn't it, Dan? Been working hard on my SuperCoach.
You're just ultimately becoming the head honcho, and Matt's not too happy about it.
No, that's right. I've got to put you down wherever I can, Jono.
No, please do. There'll be plenty of opportunities this year and tonight, no doubt. All right, fellas, I just want to give a quick update on the Baller Prize League. So, again, if you are not in the Baller Prize League, you've got to get in it. Tell your friends as well. There is a prize of $7,500 for first place. There's $1,000 for second. Third through fifth get $500 each. It is free to join. It is the biggest prize for any free-to-join league. If you have friends out there, if you're a baller and you've got mates out there who are playing SuperCoach and their team's tracking well, get them in there, give them a chance to earn that free cash because I think you'd be crazy not to, Matt.
Open till round 7 as well, Jono, so plenty of time left, still another month. Yeah. So, yeah, just get you to the site and using the tools, part of the Discord community. It's just good fun. Community's building. We're just talking pre-pod, Jono, the momentum's good.
Yeah, and I mean, you've been in, this is my first ever Discord experience. I'm loving it, the Baller.live Discord. It grows after every week. New people are joining, fresh faces. But you were saying you reckon it's a fairly positive place to some of the other Discords you've been in your time, Matty.
It's the most positive by a mile. Extreme lack of toxicity, I would say. And we got a great community who, if it does ever get a little bit dicey, which is pretty rare, it's happened once, I think, the community just supports each other, and there's a couple of bad eggs exit quickly.
Yep. The other thing I would say as well, what I'm really noticing the last couple of weeks in particular, is new to Supercoach people coming in there and asking questions. I really want to push that. If you're newer to Supercoach and you want to learn, don't think this is a place filled with experts. There's a lot of people with varying degrees of experience. And if you're posting your questions that you think might be a dumb question, it probably isn't. And there'll be people in there very happy to give their time to help out. So, please jump in and join the community.
It is unbelievable how good the community are at answering and supporting each other, answering questions. Like, we're in there a fair bit, Jono, you and I particularly, but if you don't get an advice from us, you're getting it from a very good Supercoach somewhere else who's chiming in. I think we've got there must be 5 or 6 people in there now who are in the top 100. So it's fantastic.
It's fantastic indeed. Well, speaking of the Discord, I have chosen this week's Baller Blueprint. Not through anyone specifically requesting it, but because in that Ballers Only Discord at baller.live/Discord, there were people just asking questions about this. I thought, well, if this is what the community wants, this is what the people want, let's talk about it. So our Baller Blueprint topic for tonight is a lot of people have this war chest. They traded down last week. They freed up a lot of cash. I saw people talking between 700 and 900K at different times. So we want to talk about who are the best players to open the war chest on. We also want to talk about a couple who we think you should avoid when you're looking for these premium guys as well. So I got you guys to pick out 4 players of interest each. They're not all ones that you are necessarily recommending. Some of them you might be going the other way. Really interested to hear your thoughts. So Matt, I'm going to start with your first one that you picked out to talk about, and that's James Tedesco. What are your thoughts on Teddy?
Teddy, I don't think he's quite the purchase this week. I think you could. It'd be a flyer. He's got the bye next week, but they do have a pretty friendly fixture. Manly look like the worst team of the decade in their last match against the Knights. I don't really see them turning around. Back at home off a bye, I mean, the Chooks have hardly been impressing, but Tedesco just is showing that he is going to be a demand again this season for them. I really, really, really like the Roosters' run when they get back from the bye in round 6. So they get the Sharks over in Perth, which will likely be on a fast track. But then they play the Knights, the Dragons, the Broncos, the Titans, and the Cowboys up until the end. That's at Magic Round. So I'm really eyeing off Teddy as a buy in round 6. I wouldn't, though, put anyone off opening the war chest as an alternate to a Reece Walsh this week at fullback.
All right. Dan, I'm interested to hear from your first one, who's also a fullback that you want to discuss as well. It's Tommy Trbojevic, Turbo. What are you thinking about Turbo?
Well, yeah, he's currently in my side as a trade-in this week. I think he's going to make a little bit of cash. The first 2 rounds, even though Manly haven't looked good, they have looked for Turbo Ball a lot. So he's their main dominant attacking weapon. We know how good he is at 4 Pines. Panthers put on 40 against the Roosters. Obviously, Panthers are a different kettle of fish, but I think he's still in for some good points. And maybe not this week, but their run coming up is unbelievable. I think you need Tom Trbojevic and Reece Walsh in the next sort of month to 5 weeks. So I'm currently bringing him in. I probably would go up to Walsh if I had the cash with some other, front row forward issues this week. I've probably got to go to Turbo and hope for the best. Maybe do some flipping next week at fullback.
Matt, you got some thoughts here?
I just wanted to ask Dan what he thinks about it. How is he worried about Manly being so rubbish that that's going to impact Turbo? I'm an owner of Turbo and I'm happy to own. I'm not looking to sell or anything. That's the one thing that's niggling at me a little bit.
Yeah, I am a little bit worried. I am. I just feel like the upside is massive on Turbo. He's looked fit. He's looked strong. I don't think he's even looked that involved, and he's still busting out 80-plus scores. So, yeah, very, very easy to bring in. He's going to make a little bit of cash, and I am all about that. With just the structure of teams this year, all these cheapies in the forwards, I just feel you can be a bit more aggressive in flipping those centre wings and fullbacks this year. So that's what I'm looking at in the next few weeks.
We'll talk properly about captains later in the episode, but obviously both those guys, first game of the round, really good potential BC options as well. Just the only thing I do have on the radar, literally the radar, is there is meant to be a bit of weather around on Thursday night in Sydney, potentially Storm. So just one to watch. Matt, your second player, your second premium, to discuss whether or not people should open the war chest on them, is Nathan Cleary. Go for it.
So it's no surprise to find out that Nathan Cleary is the highest projected player between now and round 11. So we're looking sort of in that origin period. They do have two tricky games in the 2 weeks after this game. So they've obviously got a very nice fixture against the Eels this week, where they're very strongly favoured to win that match. Then they play the Storm in Sydney and then the Dogs after that. From the evidence we've seen, Penrith are going to start strongly favoured in both those games. They've looked imperious, like complete utter domination of some pretty good footy teams, Cronulla and the Roosters in the last two. The word matchup proof or fixture proof gets thrown around quite whimsically in the Supercoach community, and I'm not immune from throwing it around every now and again.
But I think
when it comes to Nathan Cleary, it's completely true, and this is it's going to be difficult to see him just not going well. He will have a 60, which we saw on the weekend. But I came out of that game going, how the hell have I dodged a 150 here from Cleary? It honestly could have been anything. There's a little knock on him. The one knock I could potentially have on him is just the first receiver role that we see him in a lot. They've got this amazing looking shape out to the left where Tommy Jenkins has obviously scored 8 tries in 4 games. A couple of them were intercepts and whatever, blah, blah, blah. But Cleary's generally the one shoveling it out from first receiver out there, so he's not getting a lot of that reward there. But I think that'll come, and I think we will see the attack open up a bit more when Cleary's playing those multiple roles, first, second receiver, especially if he's running off Isaiah Yeo a bit more as well. So I'm not particularly worried about that. I'm looking to bring him in this week for this great matchup with the Eels, and yeah, I'm almost certain. I've just got to decide who I'm trading to him, whether it's Dewey or Cleary. But yeah, I just don't think anyone can go Dewey or Hines. Thank you. Yeah. Whether it's Dewey or Hines. I just think he's the clear head and shoulders above everyone else halfback.
All right. Dan, your second one that you want to talk about is Reece Walsh, the hot boy himself. Just want to preface that by saying that if people haven't seen, Payne Haas is confirmed. He's not been named for the Broncos this week. So, Dan, interested in your overall thoughts on Reece, but also potentially on how you think Payne Haas could or may impact him by not being in that team.
Yeah, from an NRL perspective, Payne Haas out for the Broncos is huge. Really, it does deter me a little bit for bringing in Walsh this week. But Walsh doesn't necessarily need him. Like what sort of Matt was saying with Cleary. Cleary's first receiver, but it's so scary because he's just got his hands on the ball all the time, particularly in attack. He does all the kicks. And we're seeing that with Reece Walsh now with the Broncos. They're feeding him ball inside the 20 on the regular. He's doing some of the kicking. He's just ultimately, the number one alpha attacker in the Broncos team. So very, very easy bringing in under 800K. And the delicious run just says it all. It's just, bring him in wherever you can. If not this week, definitely next week.
What about Adam Reynolds back, Danny Boy? Do you think obviously that potentially means Reece will lose the goal kicking? Maybe he doesn't get as dominant a role. Does that give you any pause?
I think historically that was a lot worse, but what I saw in the World Club Challenge when Reynolds, I think, played the whole game, they were still looking for Reece with everything. And then, maybe the games haven't gone Broncos' way so much, but I think, I don't think it's too much of an issue. And now that he's a little bit cheaper with this run, I just think you've just got to get on board.
Yeah, I think 780K seems a pretty fair price. Like there'll be times of this year where he's going to be priced more than that. There'll be times where he's priced less, but 782 seems pretty good for Reece.
This week as well, it's hard because we've seen a bit of different Dolphins. They absolutely dominated the Sharks in the weekend. I mean, whether Sharks just were terrible or Dolphins were really rock solid. We saw against South, they leaked 40 points. And I don't think you can really take much out of the Dolphins-Titans games. That's one of the worst games I've ever seen. And attacking-wise, it was just terrible. So, look, which Dolphins comes out this week? I think they're doing pretty well. You can probably take a flyer like I am and just hold off on Reece this week. Hopefully the Dolphins get up and then certainly jump on for the next 3 rounds after that.
Dan, I think the sell options are more are clearer next week. This week it's really just Kinney, isn't it?
So that's
next
if you
week-
think he's a sell too.
with this,
Yeah,
with the war
exactly.
chest,
It's not easy to sell Kinney.
No, people have a lot of options for the flex with the war chest, I think. So for me personally, I'm going Sanders out, which, he's still got a bit of cash to make, but I want these, 5 premiums, 2 halfbacks, 3 fullbacks running as early as possible. So probably it's an upgrade for one of the cheapies and get him into your flex. But yeah, next week, little cheeky, maybe Suafai Longo trade out next week with their tougher run starting to appear.
All right, we've spoken about 4 of the biggest names in all of NRL and NRL SuperCoach. I want to now talk about a couple of the premiums you guys have chosen who are maybe less discussed and less owned. Matt, the next one you've got on your list is Jackson Ford, who's obviously, I believe, one of the most traded in players this week. I think he's 10% purchase so far this week, Jackson Ford. He has exploded this year. What are you thinking about him?
I'm in awe of what Jackson Ford's achieved. I mean, on the weekend, it wasn't enough that he got over for a beautiful outline run off his forward partner Mitch Barnett for a try. That he decided to play 80 minutes and have 81 in pure base. Like, what an animal!
Mhm.
Honestly, has this bloke's career just been stuck? Didn't Anthony Griffin just destroy him back when he was at the Dragons? Like, wouldn't play him, and it's taken him like 6 years to recover from that. And now he's just he's a form. He's an undersized middle. Like, incredible. He's a real option. His value price. My only knock on him is, where are the minutes? Are the minutes going to survive now that Mitch Barnett's back? I've got Aaron Clark, big minute. I heard you guys talk about this on the snap as well. Aaron Clark, Fisher Harris. Obviously, he's not a massive minute, but he's not playing under 45 to 50. So I'm just a little bit worried about where that goes. But how could you put anyone off? He's priced at 72 or something. So it's that's the only thing. But if Haas is out and you're looking for a replacement, it's hard to see how he goes particularly wrong at that price.
Talk me out of it, Danny boy. Jackson Ford's come into my team tonight for Payne Haas. I know you're a little bit on the other side, Dan. You have a few negatives to talk about when it comes to Jackson Ford.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, obviously, he's off to a massive hot start. My issue is, like, 2 tries in the first 3 games for a front rower. That's not sustainable. This base plus power is absolutely unbelievable. Warriors have just gone through teams through the middle. So they're obviously getting tackle breaks. They're getting fast play the balls. And these forwards, these high minute forwards are just, doing unbelievable base plus power as a result. I am very concerned about Mitch Barnett easing into the season and getting more minutes. So someone at over 650K who's a chance to lose minutes, I don't think it can get any better than it is. At the same time, I think, as Matt said, it's a very secure option. I think he's probably going to average at least 60, if not 70, ongoing. And you're not getting value, so to speak, but you're getting a lot of solidity up in that forwards. And he's dual, isn't he? Front row forward, second row forward. So
no, front row only.
Only front row. So look, a very, very solid option. I just don't see the value that maybe people were seeing, just given the inflation of the tries and attack.
To your point, Dan, he's had 68 points in attack the last 2 weeks. So that's obviously, and that's how he's gotten these huge tons. So, and obviously that could still happen, but yeah, I'm with you. That's obviously not going to keep up. And we say base plus power, but it's actually just pure base. Like, he's got 20 points in power stats in 3 games. So his base is just off the charts. He just gets through a ton of work.
Yeah, and this is consistent with last year. Last year, from round 12 onwards, he averaged 60 minutes a game for 64 points per game. So if you think he's getting around that 65-minute mark, which I think is highly achievable, then he's at a fair price. Yeah, at the moment he's in my team. I like that negative break-even of 7. That big score from last week was sitting his rolling average for a couple of weeks. And I'm potentially looking at downgrading Payne, keeping that money, and then flipping him back to Payne or another keeper-level player in a couple of weeks' time if the role doesn't work out. So that's where I'm leaning at the moment. Yeah. Dan, your next premium to talk about is Valentine Holmes. Talk to us about Val.
Yeah, love it. I think he's the prime target at centre wing this week. Dragons have a great run coming up. He didn't have a great game on the weekend and still went 80. Base plus power average, I think, base plus power average of 42. They go Titans, Cowboys, Sea Eagles, Rabbitohs, Roosters, Knights. There's a pretty dream run coming up. And so, I don't think he's yet to fire, and he's still averaging very well. so much solidity. You've got to look for these guys, and like Origin is going to be affecting Val, so you really want to maximize the time that he's in your side and getting him in as early as possible. So great pickup this week.
All right, Matt, the final one on your list is Tom Jenkins. Tom Jenkins, I think he's about 5 or 6% traded in so far this week. Break even at 14. He scored 8 tries in 3 games. Pretty incredible. Are you looking at Tommy Jenkins? Milky.
700K, just about Milky. I'm plumping up for Milky 1 milli. It's the hashtag. He's going to $1 million. He's going to $1 million bucks.
The Milky Mill.
As the great Tim Nackey always was in for to win the milli. But I look, it is not out of the realms of possibility that Tommy Jenkins gets to 1 milli in the next month. 8 tries in 4 games, my goodness. And why would they stop going there? This is the whole thing we spoke about as well. This is, if you own Brian To'o or we're going to own Brian To'o, this is the biggest what could have been. It could have been To'o on the end of all this. Their shape that they're playing out the left just looks so good, so dangerous. Casey McLean is probably one of the best centers to be outside in the whole NRL. He just opens up space. He's big, he's dominant, and he can offload.
iPad killing it too. Looks unbelievable.
And iPad, correct. Well, we'll get to iPad later. I'm a bit excited about iPad. I'm not considering Jenkins, Jono, to answer your question, but I can see why people are. Like I can see worlds here where Tommy, like I said, Tommy gets to $1 million. Like he's going to have more tons this season coming up. So if you want to fly there, I've seen worse plays. Penrith are just going to be scoring a load of tries, and he's going to be the beneficiary of that. In saying that, he does need to score a lot of tries.
Yeah, it's a no from me. I think you've been a little bit more fence-sittery than you were pre-pod.
Yeah, I've just having a look at it today, and I just think there are worlds where he just keeps going and going and going here, and people have all jumped on and do really well, and we're all sitting back and going, how obvious was it? Penrith are the best team in the comp by a mile, and the left edge is so dominant.
8 tries in 3 games. So he's on average to score. He's on average to score 60 tries for the season.
Correct. And he's going to average 105.
Dan, let's get to your last player, Tanner Boyd, who is being 4% purchased so far this week, break even to 17. Tubes and I joked that he looked like Joey Johns out there in Newcastle on the weekend. Absolutely fantastic performance. Tanner Boyd, what do you think about Tanner Boyd?
Look, I'm a bit annoyed you threw this one on me because you know my feelings about Tanner Boyd back in the day.
I wanted this. I wanted a bit of I wanted to be a Boyd.
Did I mix
tonight.
up the order? Was this meant to be the other way around?
No.
I thought you picked him, Dan.
I didn't watch the Warriors game on the weekend, but I just watched the highlights, and it was basically a highlights package of Tanner Boyd. He was just in absolutely everything. Looked unbelievable. Obviously, goal kicking. But I was a bit surprised he didn't go like 180 plus with the amount of attacking instances he had in that. So I just think it's going to revert back to the mean. I don't think it's sustainable. Warriors, yes, they might be going well, but I don't necessarily think they're going to sustain the attack that they've got over the last few rounds. So he will revert back. Tanner Boyd at 700K, please. Like, give me some of the premium fullbacks, the premium halfbacks, your Clearys, Hines, these sort of guys. Hughes, so much more solid options than Tanner Boyd. I think you've just missed the boat, but at the same time, well done to Tanner. He's done really well. He's really bounced back from his career at the Titans, and he's absolutely flying.
Tanner Boyd, I like that one.
Tanner
very
Boyd.
Much.
Yeah, one of the
I
boys.
do want to say a big well done to the Boyd leavers, and I didn't realize there were so many of them, but I found a lot in the comments and the DMs over the weekend. After I touted us as a draft podcast talking about him last week. I will say, just in as opposed to Dan, there. Look, I agree. I could never bring in Boyd this week. Never, ever, ever. And the Boyd leavers keep coming back for more. It's fine, and I hope the Wars keep doing well. I love the Wars. I will say though, he has an excellent role in that team. Lukey Met comes back. He's playing 5'8", and the Wars are good. That's going to take them a long way, but they have won every game by 30 or 40 points so far. So we can't expect that to keep going. When they lose games, which will be inevitable, or they're in tighter contests, that's where we're going to see some Tanner Boyd 22s and some Tanner Boyd 38s.
I
So
think
those are going to come.
prime example, if anyone watched Sharks v Dolphins on the weekend, Sharks got absolutely dominated, right? And Nico Hines punches out an 80, doing nothing. That's not going to be
Tanner
Boyd.
can't do that.
No way. So, similar to a Price, you got to go for the big boys.
And you mentioned Metcalf back. That obviously means the goal kicking may not stick with Boyd either. Potentially, we just don't know. I'm just saying it's a question mark. I wouldn't bring him in with that question mark over his head.
Gotcha.
And we don't know what the role is going to look like either with Metcalf back, because Metcalf likes the ball in his hands.
Well, they wanted Metcalf to be the 7, the long-term 7, didn't they?
Yeah.
So,
and Chanel's a great player. Like, he's coming off the bench. Like, I mean, you'd expect, like Tanner Boyd's obviously the hot hand.
Don't upset the Boyd levers. I'm telling you. Don't do it.
A few rounds in, that's competition for places. So I don't think he's absolutely set and forget in that halfback role.
All right, that brings our baller blueprint to a close. Hopefully that helps with the war chest problems. We're not going to be as detailed with the rest of our position analysis. We really want to put in a bit of time to those premium guys who people are both considering and bringing in big numbers this week. So hopefully that's really helpful. We're going to go down through the rest of the normal analysis now, going through position by position, where we're going to start with hooker. And the first one is this guy's still somehow 25% owned. It's Reed Marnie. He is now 2 weeks in a row not playing 80 minutes. He got 34 and only 62 minutes on the weekend. I think Reed needs to go soon. What I'm interested to hear from you, Matt, is when you're selling Reed, would you be looking to go down to someone like a Brandon Smith in a couple of weeks' time, hold on to Reed for now? He won't lose too much cash at least this week. Get the cheese next week. Or do you just put to bed the hook position and upgrade to a premium you don't have? If you own Harry Grant, you get Blake Brayley, or vice versa. What are your thoughts?
So I presume most people will either own Reed at hooker 1, then with the cheese, or more likely will be that they'll own Harry Grant. I would have thought maybe Brayley, but more likely Grant. So I think I'm just going to look at it through that lens. Yep. I would be selling Marnie this week 1,000%, no matter what, because we spoke about the war chest. To get these war chest guys, especially with a boost, I think downgrading Marnie to cheese is perfect. So we're going to get cheese back next week. So that's $200K you free up there straight away to bulk out the war chest. And if you've got Reed at hooker 1, then you got to sell him to Harry or Brayley. Brayley obviously did really well with the 90. He smashed Harry on the weekend, Jono, after I said that could happen
in a well-beaten
last week.
team too.
Mm-hmm. So, I think Harry and Brayley are both still great picks. They're similar price now. They're both undervalued in my mind. So, I would be selling Marnie this week, either up or down.
Dan, any thoughts on the hook position before we move on? You are a 2 premiums guy.
Yeah, I am. So I'm sitting pretty in that sense, and very glad I don't need Reed. I would be going down, as Matt said. That's probably the safest option. You could take a flyer on someone like an Api Coruscant. I think he's shown decent form coming in the season. And also Luai out, I think he becomes much more of an attacking go-to near the line. So I think Api Coruscant, and they've got a good run coming up as well. I think they got Warriors tough game this week, but then they go Parramatta, Knights, Broncos at home. So I don't think that's too bad. And I think he's going to be rock solid and no origin risk, because I think I'm going to have to make some trade at that origin time of Grant and Brayley. I don't think you want to bring him in too close to origin.
Just on Appy, Dan, though, like there's probably some risk he goes to the halves if Dewey goes down now. I wouldn't really like that for Appy.
Yeah, no, it just takes his work rate away a little bit. I think he's still gonna get some attack there, but certainly want him in that hooker role.
I just think you want to get hooker sorted. Like, I'm so happy I started with Grant and Cheese. Hopefully Cheese plays a bit over the buys. It's not a place I want to be trading. I just want to get it over and done with.
Just on the origin point, would you look to go up to that double premium there, just with the solid base of Brayley and obviously the attacking flair of
not while Cheese is making money and
is he making money
looking like
there's a slight risk he's not making money.
Well, he might not, but until he's not, then I'm going with playing Cheese.
So you'd bring in Cheese if you didn't own him.
If I owned Harry or Brayley already.
Say you owned Harry and Reed this week. There's going to be a lot of listeners that do.
I'd go Marnie for sure, or Marnie to Cheese for sure. Down.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't like the double hooker. I just don't like. You're going to have so many players with better upside in positions with better upside later at longer term. You don't really want to bench hooker. I'm not saying it's a terrible strategy. I just don't not sure I'd trade for it.
Yeah.
All right. It's good back and forth. I enjoyed that. Let's move down now to front row forward. And there's a little bit doing it front row forward. Obviously, big news, Payne Haas gone. But there's also just generally going into this week, a lot of popular front row forwards and second row forwards are out of the team, leaving people figuring out what the hell they're going to do. So we lost Payne Haas. Ryan Couchman now confirmed to be out for 4 weeks with suspension. Trey Mooney gone for a week. Jermaine Hopgood gone for the season with an ACL. Toby Couchman's out this week in concussion protocols. Plus, you've got Keon Kalamatangi, David Feeder, and Cam Murray on the bye. So there are people looking for options in this front row forward spot, not because they want to, but because they got no other choice. So I want to quickly talk through, fellas, a couple of the potential downgrade options. The first one, Dan, who I know you quite like, you're a non-owner. It's Taniela Paseka, who's got a break-even of -6 coming into this week. He's played 55 minutes in his first 2 games, career PPM of just over a point a minute, pretty steady. Are you going to bring him in this week?
Look, he's currently in my side as a bring in. I'm not super excited about it. I don't see a huge upside apart from the fact that he's probably going to make 150 to 200K fairly comfortable. We've seen that Manly pack. He's going to just have to play those minutes. So he is just locked in for 55 minutes. And at a pinch, he might go up a little bit. He might see some attack. I just don't think I think his floor is going to be great. He's definitely a plug and play this week in that front row. Like some people are going to be missing 4 front rowers this week. So, I mean, he's a very much a solid option. And I just don't want to go premium and front row forward at the moment. I really want to hit the premiums hard at fullback and centre wing and just get some rock solid options up there. So, yeah, good one to bring in at about 300K.
Matt, one for you. Curtis Moran, who I know you quite liked. Well, not quite like, that's a bit of that's over-egging it. You had some level of interest in the preseason. Looking at him, I'm just, again, trying to find downgrade options. He's got a -7 break even. First game of the year, he only played 27 minutes. Second game went 45. Third game went 55. He is clearly ahead in the pecking order of both Jukey Simpsons and Cooper Bye, who are only getting around 16 to 25 minutes a game, those two. Is Curtis Moran a potential option? He is dual.
Yeah, not for me. I own Paseka, and I'd much rather just hold on to Paseka there. Not if I was picking between the two, I'd go Paseka. Dan mentioned it. It's just the safe minutes. Like, yeah, Moran's got some favour at the moment, and that might work out fine. I just don't know how long that lasts.
How do you ever play? How do you ever play Moran? How do you ever play?
Yeah, you can never play Moran. Yeah, you can never play him. So it's purely cash only. But like, I've been wanting to talk about this for a little while, Jono. So if you just excuse me for a sec, the aim of the game is not to make money. The aim of the game is to maximise for points and score points. So you don't have to go after every moneymaker in the game. As long as you keep getting the really good ones, get your team balance right, you need to optimise for points. Cash generation will happen as part of it, and there's no prize at the end of the year for squad value. So the aim of the game is not to build squad value. The aim of the game is to score as many points as you can. So you need to be, cash generation is an important thing to keep in the back of your mind, but it's not. Yeah, I just think guys like Curtis Moran, I would bring him in if the aim of the game was to make as much money as possible. I'm just never going to play him. The points are just not like he might do well. He might come out and average 50 for the next month, and that's a great outcome. But it's completely uncertain.
I guess, Matt, your thoughts are probably similar for the next guy on the run sheet. I know who you really like as a footballer, Sam Chiavati, young prop out there at Parramatta. I just noticed on the weekend that they were actually allowed to activate a 5th bench player with the Jermaine Hopgood injury. So this isn't necessarily to do with that. He played a big 55 minutes, I believe, on the weekend, and in that scored really, really well. He is named on the bench. He's on the bubble this week. I think he's an awesome footballer with a great PPM. He is a similar price to Curtis Moran. Is it a similar case if you just rather the security of Paseka?
Yeah, I actually prefer Tuiviti just because he's got more upside than Moran as a purchase. But again, I just like, how would you ever play this guy? He's great. If you knew he was going to get 44 minutes or whatever he got, yeah, great. That'd be awesome. But that's so up in the air. Like, what's going on with DeBellin? DeBellin's not in the squad again. Something a bit fishy there. Luca Moretti's in. I actually think that there is a good case that this guy could get bigger minutes. I'd be more confident in this guy getting some better minutes medium term than Moran. But yeah, it's a good price. It's a good price for a guy like him with a big bit of upside. Like he could get some major power stats.
Yeah, I think I'd rather the security of Paseka for only 30K more. But I definitely agree with you. I'd be Chuaviti. Is that how it's pronounced, Matty?
I think so.
Chuavati.
Yeah.
Over Curtis Moran. I agree. The last one who is at a similar price point is Adama Ho. He is a negative break even at -17. He's at 315K. Named to start again this week, but Paxton is still sniffing in jersey number 19. Look, for me, fellas, I obviously think that if he maintains that starting role, he's good. One of the little risky things for him is the Titans, again, are playing at this 6 p.m. slot on a Sunday night, third week in a row. They're the Sunday Nightans, the Titans. They're loving that time slot. And if there was to be a late change and you're relying on Adama Ho, that would be pretty annoying if he drops out of the team late. I also want to talk to you guys' general thought. A lot of people, when someone misses that first price rise, people are a little bit too proud. I missed their first price rise. I'm a big believer in don't fall for that, Dan. Like, I think for me, it's okay. You missed his first price rise. He's still got plenty left to make if he has the role.
Yeah, look, it all comes down to role. I don't think we've had any indication of Josh Hannay that he's going to be out of the side. I think in attack, he's shown great promise. In defense, there's definitely some issues there. So look, but I mean, there's so many coaches being massive loyalists this year. Like we've seen, someone like Setu 2 or some of these other cheapies who have come on the scene that they're just sticking fat with them at the moment. So look, 300K if he's going to have that role is an unbelievable price. I think he could still jump on. He's got much more attacking upside than a Taniela Paseka. So yeah, if you don't have him, if you need to downgrade someone like Hopgood, and now maybe Payne Haas being out for a few weeks, we don't know. Like he's certainly an option to downgrade. Take a flyer as he can be your starting or in your 18 for a little bit if you're jumping up and putting the cash into the center wing in the second row.
The only thing, Dan, with Ho, like the big thing working against him, I didn't see this game on the weekend, but he's obviously, like you said, he's got a few defensive issues, is that the Titans are 0-3. Now they play the Dragons in a 50-50 game. If they lose this, it's 0-4. How long does Hannay stick with the same lineup? And a guy who's been missing tackles is an easy target, especially when they have Paxton, who we know they rate, to come in. So I agree with everything you said, that Ho's got the upside. I'm happy to own Ho, but I would be buying Paseka over Ho. Just for, again, it's boring, but look, these guys aren't out here to win you with massive upside. They're just here to do a job. You can plug them in, and then they're also going to make 200K. That's the expectation for these guys, right? So I just think the Paseka is just that's the most likely thing the Paseka will do for you.
Look,
so,
definitely a much more safer blanket up at front row forward, but Adama Ho, he hasn't had any attacking stats. He's had one try contribution. Anyone who watched those Titans games, he has come very close a lot. So for him to get the cash churning,
I agree,
and even be a great play, he just needs to fall over the line. Literally, he fell over the ball like 3 times in that first game. And
it's not the worst. So, if he gets dropped after this week, it's not the worst. You've still made a bit of money, and he's got the jewel, so you can flip him around a bit. It's just if he goes back to the bench. It's a headache that is potentially waiting to happen. So that's a really tricky one between him and Paseka. You're right.
I would say that from a price perspective, the Ho train has not yet left the station. But with that job security factor, I think I would lean towards Paseka, even though I do agree with everything Dan said. I think Ho, if he holds the role, is going to be the better purchase. But if you're missing a heap of guys already, do you want to take that risk of another one dropping out? That's all I consider. Let's get down to second row forward now. Sorry, Dad, do you have one more comment?
No,
We've had a long time.
I was just saying it's easy for me with the nice security blanket of already owning Ho to say all this. So I think it would be much, much more difficult if I didn't.
All right, second row forward. And again, this is the position in Supercoach to talk about. It's incredible how important second row forward has felt this year. I want to start off with a few of these mid-rangers who are kind of between that 400K to 550K mark, who people are either looking at bringing in for different reasons. Let's start off with Joe Chan, the fix-it man. Matt, if I'd have said to you that the player that you're going to end up making baller merch about this year is Joe Chan, what would you have thought?
I would have thought how can such a... I would have thought... I don't know what I would have thought, John. He's Alex Chan's son. He's been in the system for years. And now he's got a catchy nickname. Joe Chan, the Fix-It Man. Like,
Is he getting
when he
merch,
crashed over
really?
the other night. Oh, well, I've done a bit of AI creation for some merch. That's about it.
Damn filthy that there's not going to be Rouchy merch. Joe Chan might have overtaken Rouchy.
Yeah.
Oh, mate, organising merch is the worst. Anyway, it is good. It is good fun once you get out there. I posted out another Young GI shirt today. So there's the demand for Young GI merch is going through the floor, though, unfortunately.
Matt, talk to us about Joe Chan as an option, because Dan and I both already own him. We're obviously very happy. You don't. Are you still looking at him this week with that break even at -37 and the way he's looked?
Massive decision. I was pleasantly surprised to see that he was only 22% owned after the game on the weekend.
He's up to 34 now.
Yeah, 36. 34%. I just saw.
Okay,
I think. So the masses are flocking to him. Every sinew in my body, Jono, it tells me that this is not how I play Supercoach, chasing a mid-ranger after a big score. And whilst I agree with what you said that the cash is still going to come here again, this is not the point of the game. Not the point of the game to make cash. Joe Chan has a good role in a great team. That's the thing that scares me the most. This all comes down to his role, and he looks good. Geez, he was feeling himself the other night. Like, he was putting in chips and chases, and like it's like, just give me the ball, carry it in one hand, slamming down tries, setting up tries. It was disgusting as a non-owner, I've got to be honest. I think there is a good argument to buy Joe Chan. He's clearly still value. He's got the role locked up. He's 444K. I think he's probably a 60 average player, so there's 15 to 16 points of value there straight up. And he's got a ceiling, which we've seen on the weekend, 128 points. So it's inarguable that he's not a good buy. Is he the right buy for everyone this week? No, I don't think so. I think you're looking to spend a war chest. A lot of teams, you're looking to upgrade to premiums, and so if you're looking, to take him on with a more premium guy like who we'll talk about, but IPAP or Preston or Huddy Young, Jaden Sewer, that you can take him on with these guys, and I think that's where I'm leaning at the moment.
Dan, the next one on the list is Kuli Kefu Dolfini Fuiaki, who I know you had a big look at over the weekend, and you quite like what you saw.
I loved it. I absolutely loved his game on the weekend. No attack, 70 points. He was doing a lot of the grunt work coming out of their ends. Like, this is just a complete attitude flip from what we've seen of Fuiaki
so
in
improved.
The past. I can't see. They've got one edge player on the bench in Oren Keeley. Then the rest
he's
of the
80
middles.
Minutes.
He's
locked.
I think he's locked into 80 minutes. And we're talking about Joe Chan as this, doing everything. He was up against the right edge of that Broncos team. Guess who's up against the right edge of the Broncos team this week? It's big Fini Fuiaki. Like, if you're going to jump on, now is the time. 550K. If some of these other premium guys were blowing it out of the water, say Jacob Preston, Dylan Lucas, Hudson Young, say they were going hundreds, none of them are really, I don't think any of them are topped 100 at the moment. If they were blown out of the water, I'd be more inclined to go up there, but I am definitely willing to take a flyer on Fini Fuiaki this week. I've loved what I've seen.
Yeah, that thing you spoke about, the complete attitude flip, Dan, it's so apparent. I owned him at the start of last year, and that's potentially why I was a little bit burnt by him and maybe a bit more down on him than most. It's just that scar tissue hasn't healed yet. But last year I watched him. He was a plotter. He was just getting through the bare minimum of work, and when he did it, it lacked intent. Watching him on the weekend, how hard he ran the ball every time he was trying to bust the line, it was incredibly impressive. And with that is going to come a lot of power stats this year, which we're seeing. So I think if he holds that 80-minute role, he's a keeper level play with what we're seeing so far this year. I'm not as confident on you guys as the 80 minutes sticking throughout the entire year. And my only reasoning is they've got a lot of guys out at the moment. We have seen that when they have a lot of middles who are fit, which they haven't had this year, sometimes Maxi Plath finds himself on an edge. Tom Gilbert has regularly found himself on an edge. Connolly Lemuelu is a good NRL player. I think he'd be behind Dolfini Fuiaki in the pecking order, but he's still going to command NRL minutes off the bench. So I'm just not 100% of the way there, but I do like him as a buy. Matt, what's your pushback on that?
No, I just think that the way the Finns rotations work, I would be surprised to see him not go 80. We saw them last year. Like they did have a lot of injuries, like you said last year. So I'm not taking it as gospel, but he played 80 all year last year. Start of the year, he played a few 60s and 55-minute games. But then the second 2/3 of the season, he was 80 every week.
Yeah.
They've shown Keely's going to be middle only. So yeah, the minutes isn't the risk for me. The risk for me would just be the regression. So like Dan said, he was a plotter last year. He averaged in the sort of high 40s in base, lower. He had a few games in the 20s in base in 80 minutes. So, best case there, he was carrying an injury and now he's fully fit and we're seeing that better. But worst case, he's put in the first 3 rounds, he's really fit, but then he might pick something up and if the attitude isn't quite there, then does he go back to being that 500K 2RF that you can't get out of your team quick enough, that you struggle to sell because you don't see it. It's not symptomatic until he's had 5 games in a row where he's based 40 points.
All right, next player is one who is a little bit cheaper than Fini Filiaki. It's Helam Lukey. And again, this is a case of just because he missed the first price rise doesn't mean he's not a potentially good option this week. His base plus power this year is 65.3. Really impressive. He has scored 1 try in the first game. He's been getting early ball. I don't feel like I've watched him closely as an owner the last 2 weeks. Don't feel like he's been getting put into great attacking spots. Just kind of give him early ball and see if he can create anything. But I'm sure there's time for that to flip. Bit of a tough matchup this week though. Dan, what are you thinking about Helam Lukey?
I don't think he's a buy over some of the other guys we've talked about. Yeah, he's looking decent with his base plus power work for sure. They do look to him towards near the line as well. I think he will get over, but I just don't think he's going to be as impactful as some of these other second row forwards that you can go up to, the likes of Jacob Preston. We haven't seen Dylan Lucas do any attack yet, and it's bound to come along. And so yeah, I just think you've kind of miss it. I'm very glad to have him because he's a great player in that 17 and 18. I just don't really see him as an absolute must buy this week.
So Dan, if someone is looking for a mid-range though, not a premium, just if that's what fits their team needs, would you have Lukey or Fini Filiaki as the better option?
Fini Filiaki for sure.
Lukey.
Matt, what about you?
Lukey. I think Fini Filiaki is a good buy. Don't get me wrong. I just still worry that we won't see the attack. That was the gag last year. He couldn't get any attack. His base was decent. He couldn't get many power stats. He couldn't get a try. Like whether the shape was wrong for him and that might change. Look, he scored 2 tries this year. One of them was a lucky one, freak one off a dropout. But Helam Lukey on the weekend had 67 in pure base. Do you know what his Supercoach score was? 63. 63. So he outbased his own.
Lukey, sorry.
He outbased his own. He's 67 in pure base on the weekend. That is ridiculous.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I'm very worried about not owning Lukey.
Maybe I'm coming around a little bit. Maybe it was a bit too hot and heavy about Filiaki.
And there is 70K difference too.
Exactly.
70K difference, yeah.
He's cheaper. And look, again, it's coming from a point that I own Lukey. I think the majority of Supercoaches will own Lukey. If they didn't buy him last week, they had him to start with. So I just feel like you're not really making up ground by bringing in Lukey. I think someone like a Fini Filiaki, massive pod play to take him on.
All right, Matt, last 2 just to quickly talk about from this mid-range area. Samuela Fainu and Kelma Chualangi. They're both on the bubble this week. Fainu's got a negative 27 break even, Chualangi a -7 break even. I kind of feel they're both a little bit trappy at their prices, but interested to hear your thoughts.
Just first thought is just make sure when you're buying Samuela Fainu that you don't buy Sione Fainu, who plays in the same position in Supercoach. I noticed he was 3% owned or something, Sione. So you got to be very careful there. You don't want bench front rower Sione Fainu, who incidentally is quite a good player, but not for Supercoach just yet. 61 base power average in his last 2 games, Samuela. Look, you can do worse, but I think that in this position, you just don't want guys who can drop a 40, and I think he can drop a 40. So his base in the first 2 games have been 48 and 46. I think that's around his floor in that mid-40s, maybe low 40s, because he isn't going to get power every week. He isn't going to get attack every week. He's got 70 points of attack in these first 2 games. So he's clearly inflated. These performances are not going to continue. In saying that, he is a target on that left edge. Like they're looking for him near the line. So I think he can go well. Would I buy him? No. I think the others are all better buys.
All right. Two guys who are out, Trey Mooney, Ryan Couchman, obviously very well-owned cheapies to start the year. Trey Mooney gone for a week. Ryan Couchman confirmed to be gone for 4. Dan, do you think it's okay to sell these guys if it means making other moves?
Not if you've got all the rest of these front row forwards out. Like Trey Mooney's missing 1 week. We know he's fit. He's going to be back next week. This Payne Haas news has just, I was flirting with selling Trey Mooney because I think he is very popular and I don't necessarily think he's going to make a huge amount of cash. But this Payne Haas news has really rattled me. I think you've just got to hold on because you know he's going to be 1 week. Rauchi, I would say now that he's only getting 4 weeks off, I'm inclined to hold him. I think you could nearly hold him for the rest of the year. And he's definitely a big plug and play. I think he's still going to average around that 60 mark. And I think he's still got a lot of cash to make. So I don't necessarily think you're going to make, 100K he's already made. I think he's got so much more potential to make more, and I can ride out the 4 weeks. So I'd hold.
Yep. I think you've summed it up pretty well. Matt, I'm going to use the player comparison tool over at baller.live to compare a couple of the premium second row forwards. Now, for people who are interested in unloading that war chest in the second row position, 2 of the most popular and well-discussed ones are Hudson Young and Jacob Preston. Matt, you and I were at opposite ends of the spectrum. I brought in Huddy last week. You brought in Jacob Preston. For people looking at bringing in one this week, what are your thoughts between those 2?
Yeah, look, if I had my time over and I had my week back last week, Jono, and you said to me who would I have preferred after the game, I would have said Hudson Young. And I'm going to say Hudson Young now. So the thing that put me off Huddy, I always thought he was a great pick last week. And it still worries me to an extent, but the Raiders have the bye in round 11. He then won't play round 12. And then round 13 is obviously just a little bit up in the air because he's going to have to back up from Origin 1. So there's potential to miss 3 straight games there. And I think that you're going to maybe be looking to sell him unless he's averaging 100, like in that round 11 period for Magic Round. So that does worry me. But what worries me more is just how good this guy's role is. You guys spoke ad nauseum about it on the snap, so I won't go back into it too much. Everyone's seen the bloke play. He's playing 6 different positions for the Raiders, and he's there. He's like Dan said last week, he's the alpha dog. They're looking for him. So I'm very, very possibly bringing in Hudson again this week to go along with Preston. Preston is a great pick in his own right, and I could not put his value. I think he's 5-6 points worth of value, and in that premium second row spot, that's exactly what you're looking for. He's never going to let you down. He plays all the way through. Far less likely to play Origin than Young, although is a chance.
Yeah, definite chance as well. Dan, I want to go rapid fire through a few of the pod premium second rowers. I'm going to give you Viliami Kikau, averaging 66 in base plus power, no major attacking stats this year. What do you think of him?
I believe he didn't go that well on the weekend. As we kind of said, his base plus power from the first game of 98 was just going to be unsustainable. Or I think it was high 80s sort of thing. So he's dropped back to a 50. You are going to get that with Kikau, and I think he's got a massive ceiling this year. I think with Bulldogs going to that left edge a bit more, Crichton, Kiraz, Kikau, they're going to see a lot of ball in the attacking zone. So much more a high risk play, but definitely a high ceiling guy.
Matt, next rapid fire second row pod, Jaden Sewer, one who you did speak about at length last week, and then he came out and put on a massive performance on the weekend. Have you softened even more towards Sewer?
I just want to know what kind of cash for comment you and Viliami Kikau's manager are on, Jono, that we have to talk about him every podcast so far this season. Jaden Sewer.
What is it? The Laundry Group. They're looking after me.
Hold on, Matt. I'll throw it back to you. You didn't want to talk about Tana Boy, but you're more than happy to get on a soapbox about Curtis Morin. Like, what's going on?
I want to talk about Curtis Morin. Jono just threw me under the bus there. He said he had to throw to someone. Are you kidding? He's even wanting to talk about Curtis Morin.
He gave us 2 minutes on him. He didn't have to spend that long.
Yeah, to tell you why not to buy him.
All right, Jaden Sewer, Matt, go.
Jaden Sewer, top base plus power 2RF to start the season, 74.5 average base plus power. Jeez, he looks good. He went over for a nice meat pie on the weekend. looking strong. Again, I facetiously called him a bit of a sook last week because it doesn't
didn't
always
like
go
that.
quite right. No, he didn't like that. He took that personally. We went all MJ on me and took it personally. But yeah, 110. Look, can he keep it up? That's the thing with Sua. I don't know, but we could easily be sitting here. I prefer Preston at the same price or roughly the same price, but I think Sua's a great pick. He's if we take that his base plus power is going to keep up, he's 8 points underpriced, or maybe touch less, 5 or 6 points underpriced purely on base plus power. So we know that he can get over for a try. So he's undoubtedly value for me.
All right, next one, Dan, is Kaipi's Paul, a.k.a. KPP. Base plus power 59.5. We saw at Newcastle, he became a quite steady base plus power man. Shackles look a little bit off at the Tigers. I personally prefer him much more to his second row partner at the Tigers just because I trust him and what he's capable of a little bit more. What do you think?
Yeah, I think in terms of compared to Fino, I think that's right. I wouldn't put him in the premium catalogue with some of these other guys in terms of his attacking prowess, but his base is there. So it's a bit of a fly. You got to trust in the Tigers, which I don't. And I'd much rather go down to the likes of Hila Muki or Finafiuaki than rather go up to Kai Pearce-Paul.
I don't like him at all.
Any more than that?
No.
You want to add something? No? Okay. Fine. Nice. I like that. Strong. Matt, last rapid fire premium pod in the secondary for is Homole Olakau'atu. Have not said his name once on a baller pod this year. He is averaging, he's only averaging 49.5 in base plus power. He's had tries in both games. We have seen him be an absolute gun in the past. No Cherry Evans inside him this year. Does that worry you?
Yeah, look, I'm going to be very quick on this. It's a very, very hard no from me on Homole. No Cherry, like you mentioned. His base has been a little down as well. Like he's gone 40 and 35 in base first two games. I'm just not convinced he's going to get those power stats. He should get some attack still. I think he's just fair or overpriced in this Manly team without Cherry. So I really don't like Olakau'atu. We've skipped over him, mate, but I just want to talk about Isaiah Papali'i for a bit because he is in 2RF. I think he is an amazing pick. I think his minutes are looking very secure in that 60 to 65 minimum. And I think with that, he can average 70 plus. I think best case here, he gets 70 to 80 minutes a week, where I think we can see him averaging up in the high 70s from there. And the ball projections will reflect that. Currently this week, he's in it for 70 minutes and he's projected for 83 points. So the thing with IPAP is his working rate is so good and he's got so much good power and he can offload. But in this, we saw it on the weekend, he got a try assist. So he's a good chance to get some attacking stats in this Penrith team on that left edge. We've spoken about that left edge for shape. I'm looking very, very hard at bringing him in at front row this week. And I think if I sell Payne Haas, he'll be the one that will come in the front row. But he can also, and then with a view that longer term, he might go down to 2RF.
Matt, he's the other one I said I'm probably going to sell Payne this week. I said at the moment it's Jackson Ford. IPAP is a big chance of also filling that role for all the reasons you said. We know exactly what he's capable of when he gets big minutes. The other ones that I'm looking at, and I also skipped over them in front row forward, is a couple of guys who, again, I'm going to use the baller player comparison tool to compare these two. Adam Fanua-Blake and Stefano Udakamanu. Just want to draw our attention back to them because I think they're both decent options as well. Adam Fanua-Blake, minutes have been a little down this week, but they were back up on the weekend, played 59. He's averaging 58 in base plus power this year. Stefano, he's just coming into his prime. He's looking to have a 60-minute role. His base plus power is huge, and he's absolutely passing the good old-fashioned rugby league eye test. Dan, what do you think of those two?
Stefano, out of those two, I would definitely go for. He looks so much more. He looks so hungry, and he's becoming the leader of that pack. I think definitely on the up. AFB, like maybe I'm looking at this through Sharky's eyes, but his just attitude isn't there in terms of wanting to run the ball hard, wanting to offload, wanting to be involved in games. Right? He's doing his work. He's getting off the field. He's having his break. He's come back on. He's just doing his work. So I until I see the attitude change in AFB, I would not be touching him at over 600k. Stefano, very, very interesting. And I think Matt was saying if Payne Haas is becoming an out, if we find out that he's going to be out for a few weeks, him and IPAP are probably the two top dogs that I want up in front row forward at the moment.
Last one, very quickly, just worth to mention, Brendan Piakura is starting this week. He's only played one game so far. He's priced at just over 300K. It'd be interesting to see if he looks like being an 80-minute man, because if he is, he could be a good downgrade target for next week. Let's drop down, fellas, to halfback.
Sorry, John, I can't have Piakura whatsoever.
Get out, Piakura.
Get out of there.
All right. Halfback. Ethan Sanders, Dan Atkinson, the two cheapies who nearly everyone started with, I think, Matt, except for you, because you went with Adam Dewey as your halfback too. I just want to hear, with this war chest, we mentioned guys like Nathan Cleary. We're going to speak about Nicho Hynes soon. What do you guys think of just using a significant chunk of that war chest to go using like significant chunk to get rid of one of those guys, go up to a proper premium halfback? Dan, what do you think? Would you do it even if it stops you making other moves?
That's what I'm doing. So I'm skipping out Reece Walsh this week so I can bump up Cleary to the halfback position. So I've got Nicho Hynes and Cleary. I think that's where you want to be at this stage. If you're keeping Sanders or Atkinson, I don't mind that, but I think you've got to bump out to a premium elsewhere. And so I've actually flirted with dropping Moses Leo this week, even though they've got a great matchup against the Cowboys. I think you could take him up to, say, a Valentine Holmes or something like that. If you believe in Sanders or Atkinson, but for me, I just want prime time at halfback. So they're an easy upgrade.
Matt?
Atkinson certainly needs to be upgraded. I do see some good worlds for Ethan Sanders. If you own Nicho and Sanders or Cleary and Sanders, I think you could run with that and upgrade elsewhere. I think Sanders is not far away. They've played, you got to remember as well, he's a half. He got that really good score in round one, and now he's dropped a couple of scores in the mid-30s. But Raiders have had 3 games in torrential rain.
They haven't scored tries,
yeah, they're just it's not really. He's passing every eye test. He looks great. He looks a footballer. He's not afraid to run it. We saw the confidence he had to take that run to try and win the game for the team last week. I wouldn't be rushing. And again, I don't know, so it's easier for me to say. But I think you could, if you've got better upgrades elsewhere, you could take on that upgrade with Sanders. I think, but Atkinson has to go. I think I don't. Even with that run, you could never play Atkinson. I'd much prefer to with the goal kicking and a decent-ish floor. I think Sanders is a playable option.
Really nice dry track this weekend, expected in Canberra too. So I have to play him this weekend because of all the injuries that are out. He's definitely going to be in my team this week. With the decent weather, I feel okay about it with how he's looked.
Worth saying as well, the only option I think this week to buy at halfback is Cleary. I wouldn't be going near Hynes if I didn't own. Obviously, Dewey, you can't go. Jaden Campbell's still coming back from the hammy. That would be a real flyer. They draw gets hard too soon. So, unless you want to go to Tanner. Hughes, maybe. Hughes is a pod.
Talk about Hughes. What do you like about him?
Just that he's great and he's just what a player. Like Dally M 2 years ago, the role looks good. He doesn't have as many. It doesn't matter. He's hitting. It just shows he's hitting Eli Katoa last year. This year, hitting Joe Chan. He's turned Joe Chan into Eli Katoa. So I don't know. Like I think Hughes is a value option. It's pod. But I think I'd still only be buying Cleary this week. Hughes is I'd probably want him to get through that Penrith game before looking at Hughes. Then Hughes over Origin though, for sure.
Dan, I don't think you own Nicho Hynes, do you?
I do.
Or you do?
Yep.
I saw Matt talking about, and I think he's softened on now, but earlier in the week talking about potentially trading Hynes to Cleary. I thought that was just the stuff of complete insanity. Matt, no offense, it made absolutely no sense to me. Dan, what do you think about Nicho Hynes? And I will let you have your rebuttal, Matt. But Dan, what do you think?
Well, look, I'm playing Supercoach against everyone, but I'm really only playing against Matt. I just that's my big target. And when he was talking about dropping Hynes, I was just staying radio silent. I was very, very happy with him dropping Nicho Hynes. He is just so good at Supercoach, Nicho Hynes. Like the role isn't great at Sharks at the moment. He's running it a lot more, and we see he's got an absolute ceiling. So Sharks start to fire. Great pack to get behind. I think Nicho Hynes is a great option. As Matt said, though, he's probably not bringing this week against the Raiders. But I think you'd be looking, if you're going to say who are the top 2 you want, Hynes and Cleary all day for me still.
Matt?
Look, I'm not completely ruling out trading Hines to Cleary this week. They play
should.
Canberra, then the Warriors, then a bye before they get Cowboys, Tigers, Souths, Dogs. Dogs is a magic round. Yeah, I'm not liking what I see, and I felt the visceral nature of Tubes' rant about Nico and the Sharks on the Sunday snap, and that really just that resonated with me as a fellow Sharks man. I love Nico. I'm his biggest fan. I think he was lucky to get 81 on the weekend, and like Tubes was astonished when he saw that he got 80 points. He set up a nice try for the winger Stone Street, which was a little bit up in the air.
What was lucky about his 81? It's like he didn't get
nothing.
any.
He set up a nice try. I'm just saying 10,
Yeah.
and that's one of the charms about Nico as a Supercoach option. They can score 10 points, get beat 38-10, and he can still crap out an 81 like without even doing a lot. So he's a elite accumulator of Supercoach points. I'm softening on it, especially now that Dewey is injured. It looks like he might play, but yeah, I don't know. I think that Hines got to be 127 this week. I don't know. I'm just saying I'm not 100% sure it works out for Nico up to Origin.
Matt, I'll rebuttal that in saying that the conversation Tubes and I had on the snap about him and Trindle, we had the same conversation 10 times last year. He averaged 76. Also, Nico Hines is the halfback to own over the Origin period. I think if you're trading him now, you're getting him back. They miss round 12. They play the other two major bye rounds and every single mini bye round after those weeks, which can be tricky as well.
We know they're tricky.
He's no chance of playing Origin. So he's that far down the pecking order at the moment, Nico Hines, that I just do think you're going to be getting around 13 going, I got to get Nico back, which is fine, but you're burning through a few trades there.
Yeah, and look, I don't disagree, Jono. I'm probably not going to trade him, but it's not out of the realms that I will.
It's your man Adam Dewey, who I know you own. I know it's tough, -1 break even on the bubble this week, but named, which is fantastic. Hamstring tightness with his history, not great. Goal kicking, when you got a kicker like Api Coruscant in the team as well, who can take over, that's a risk. So even though he's got that negative break even, Matt, if it was me, I'd look at doing Adam Dewey.
I'm trading. I'm as long as I can make it work cash wise, I'm trading Dewey out for Cleary. Yep. Cleary's just so far ahead of anyone, even Kynes, like at the position, I think, that I think he's just not a must-have, but pretty bloody close. So with that hamstring, I would defer to Dan about this hamstring tightness. It looks so high. Like, I can't imagine it was cramped, Dan, up there, but it just, I don't know. I don't know how likely it is to go or ticking time bomb or whatever.
I don't like it at all. I really don't like it at all. Any hamstring that's like a ping or like an acute incident, like it doesn't seem to be crap. I don't think he could have maybe run it out a little bit and tried it out, but the fact that he just kind of stayed down straight away. He wasn't looking to stretch it like they do when they're kind of cramping up and it's shortening. So I just don't know enough about what it is, but I really didn't like it, and I wouldn't be trading him, Dewey, if you don't own him and you're looking at it.
Let's go down to 5'8". Putrid position. Speaking of listening to our ballers and the ballers only Discord, a lot of people are asking us to talk about the 5'8" position in depth this week.
Really?
Because, there was a lot of people who are Cody Walker and Jonah Pezzett owners, and they don't feel comfortable playing Jonah Pezzett against the Storm this week and are looking for something. I tried, fellas. Here's what I got. Blaze Talangi, no thank you. Matt Burton, not a goal kicker anymore. No, thank you. I couldn't make a case to go with either of those guys. They both have low settings. Both only went above 100 once last year. So it's just a big no from me on those guys. Fletcher Sharp comes back into the team this week. Obviously, he was named last week too, but was ruled out late. Dan, our resident physio, I mean, how confident are you that A, he plays with the setbacks it looks like he might be having, and B, how much might he be impacted even if he does play?
I think he's greatly impacted. I feel like the risk of re-injury is so high at the moment. So I just don't think you can touch him at 700K. He's not even on the bubble yet. Like, you get another look at him. So you just need to see him play those first couple of games, I think, before you jump on. Do not touch him. Saying that, there's probably some out there that still own him and Pezzett. And they've gotten lucky with an 80 and a 50 from Pezzett. I think you just hope for the best with Fletcher Sharp starting this week. Hope he does well, and he's not going to lose any cash if he gets injured. You've taken the flyer. You can move him on if you need to. So he's not a buy and he's not a sell.
Jono, can I just say on the Cody walk, if I own Cody and Pezzett this week, I'm trying to nail my VC, and looping Cody.
Agree.
I think that's the best strategy to have to then not sell Cody. Like I said on this pod last week, I think the Cody, there's still a lot of good outcomes for Cody this year. They got the Dogs next week. It's not ideal, but, Peasant's turned into a guy, he needs attack, no doubt, but it looks like he might get some. So I would be inclined to not waste the trade there unless you're really hot on a guy like Purdue or Munster, and then hopefully we get a bit of sharp action. But I just don't know that they're that much better than Cody, especially when you got to go, you're going to have to spend 200, 300, 400K to get up to these guys.
Yeah, Matt Jackson-Purgey, you said he saved you around a little bit on the weekend. He's been a little bit purchased this week, small break even of only 4. He obviously has shown he's got a pretty high ceiling. I don't know about it at 600K.
Yeah, I think the price is okay, just okay. Again,
It's
it's a positional
too.
problem. I can see why people are doing it because they don't want to play Cody.
It a lot. I like it a lot because he can get out of that position. So
you can move him down, can't you?
He can go to centre wing at some stage. So small break even. I don't know if you watched the Titans Cowboys. They're looking for him a lot more.
Lots of early ball.
Lots of early ball. And I don't know, the amount of times he just got the ball and got tackled was plenty. But the amount of times he pulled up and beat a defender, went through. He's just got this ability that he's a slight guy, but he can just stop on an absolute dime and then just take off.
He should be the most purchased 5'8" this week.
Yeah.
For people who are buying there. I agree with that.
Yeah. So
he's tough matchup against the Storm. Tough matchup though.
Yeah, I don't know.
What is he left?
He's against the right edge of Storm, notoriously not a great attack defensive edge as well.
True.
So, and if they're looking for him, he's getting his hands on the balls. He's got points in him.
He's the perfect 5'8" number 2 long term. If you get him, if you end up with him and Sharp or him and Munster, or you might end up with him if he keeps going. He's your 5'8" number 1 for the year. So he's the long term pick. I'm just not sure I want to go 300K from Cody up to him when I could be making better upgrades elsewhere in my team.
Yeah, okay. I like it. I'm a Jackson-Purgey owner, and I've enjoyed it so far. But you guys kind of softened me on that stance a little bit there. Cam Munster, Danny boy, are you kind of hot on just bringing in Cam Munster and just locking down that position for the year? He's fairly priced at 668K.
No, probably not. I think we know what to expect with Munster. He's going to average 60 to 70 quite comfortably. He does have a ceilings at times, but we know that historically against some of the lowly teams, he can take a back seat, and we've seen Hughes dominate games. So I don't necessarily think he's the alpha in the Storm pack. They're not looking to him always in the attacking end. So I think you can just leave him be. But if you own him, great, hold on and enjoy the ride.
Luke Lau-Lily, as we get down to centre wing now, he's got a minus 52 break even. Probably has job security to hold that role for the next couple of weeks, but his 94 will drop out of the rolling average, only putting up 35 in base plus power. If one of these cheapies hadn't been named this week, like a Sedu 2 or a Fayamani, who are both named in the team, with guys on the bench who don't look like they're going to come in on wing spots either, so the job security looks good for this week, I would have maybe looked at Luke Lau-Lily, but I don't think I could justify it, Matt.
It's just that he's just a victim of circumstances a bit with teams with so many cheapies in the centre wing already. You're not moving any of them onto him. That's the key point. And so most teams have 2 or 3 premium centre wings. And unless it's I don't even know who it would be. Maybe if you're maybe Karaz, if you're looking to free up cash from Karaz and you're not happy with that shoulder and you're like, nah, I'm washing my hands of him. He's a good cheapie. He's minus 52 break even with good job security, and he's on the left wing for the Tigers, who can get some attack. So I think he's a perfectly fine cheapie purchase. It's mainly just down to team structure that you're not selling any cheapies, and there aren't many people to sell it. Aren't many others to sell to him.
I'll tell you who's not a good cheapie, in my opinion, is Fletcher Hunt, who's somehow 12.5% owned at 322K. He does have the negative break even at minus 16. He had a 46 on the weekend with a sin bin, but I don't know, Dylan Brown surely comes back and Fletcher Sharp pushes back to fullback while Pong is out, right? Surely he's not long for that position, Dan.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. There's too much risk in that. He's a decent player and he could have potentially some decent scores, but just who knows what's going to happen there.
This is a big case of mistaken identity on positive on this, that people thought it was Fletcher Sharp to start the season.
Yeah, we did speak about that in one of our earlier pods.
He's not the worst player, Fletcher Hunt, by the way, and he's obviously a fullback who can pick at centre wing.
He's a good player.
I wouldn't be bringing him in. No Knights at the moment. No Knights.
All right. Baller player comparison tool, again, over at baller.live. This is an interesting one. It's Jacob Kiraz and Stephen Crichton from the Doggies, obviously playing on the same team there, on the same edge. You got Jacob Kiraz at 746K, Stephen Crichton at 600K. They're both on the bubble this week. I want to hear your thoughts, Dan. If you were to bring in one of these Dogs wingers, who would it be?
Crichton, for sure. And I definitely wouldn't have said that at the start of the year. Kiraz's
Wouldn't have said
shoulder.
it a week ago.
No. Kiraz's shoulder injury, very concerning. We saw he just didn't want to do the work on the weekends. Like, I think I watched a bit of that back end of the second half, and Stephen Crichton got a bit of bump up from that work rate because Kiraz was just not doing his usual. Usually he's just fighting for those first, second, third tackles, give me the ball. But Crichton, I think his floor is going to be exceptional this year. And I think he's got a fair few 100-plus games where he's getting 2 or 3 attacking stats. So jump on Stephen Crichton.
Matt?
Just can't possibly buy Kiraz whatsoever. He's more it's in the sell conversation.
Yeah. Is he a sell?
No, not for me. I'm just gonna if he turns up and plays, then no. Definitely, it's the matchup's too good. I could see a world where if the matchup was tougher, that you might look to sell. But we kind of get a free look where he might struggle. Like, even if he does struggle, he could still get over for a try. That was the worst possible game that he could have had. He was injured. He got injured in his first hit up of the game, and then it was torrential rain, and they never, ever threw Shape out to that left side the whole game. So 28 is clearly his floor if he's injured. So hopefully they get a good needle in there and he feels okay and he doesn't dislocate it during the game or anything like that. I just think you hold this week and hope for the best and see how it goes. But I definitely, you going nowhere near him as a purchase.
Dan, I agree with what you said about Stephen Crichton. That goal kicking elevates his floor nicely. I think people are getting a little bit overly excited about Stephen Crichton, and I say that as an owner. I think he's a good, fine buy at 600K. The only thing I'd say is I think he has a bit of a lower ceiling than what you'd like. He hasn't been a try scorer of note since moving to the Dogs. He was at Penrith. At the Dogs, he scored 13 tries in 44 games. Last year, 3 tries in 21 games. He's not crossing much. He's good at getting an assist. He's got that high floor. But yeah, I just don't know if he has the ceiling of some of these other guys. I'm a happy owner with all that being said. Herbie Farnworth, fellas, there might be people who are surprised he didn't come up in our baller blueprint today. I am a very happy owner. I think he's a really good captaincy option every single week. I don't think the Dolphins' backlines are looking very smooth yet. Dan, why is he not kind of on the baller blueprint as someone you think that people should bring in this week?
They've got the bye in 2 rounds, I believe. Their run is not good after the bye. Herbie's floor is the best. It's 60 base plus power. You watch Herbie play, he's offloading every single time he touches the ball. He is just ultimately the number one end game priority centre wing you want in your team. But he's 800K. So there's a few other options that are a little bit cheaper, that have better runs coming up. But he's not. I don't think he's a buy this week.
How's this run they've got? I didn't realise how bad it is. Bye, Panthers, Warriors, Storm, Dogs, Souths, Canberra, bye.
Yeah.
Shocking.
Yeah.
But
it doesn't matter in terms of the floor and Herbie. It just pinches his ceiling. So
yeah, agree.
You want him in your team at some stage. We know he doesn't play Origin. Great over the bye period. He's just not a priority right now. There's other options. So Val Holmes massively has a great run coming up. I'd be pushing him. If I didn't own Herbie already, I'd still be looking for Val over Herbie this week.
Easy.
All right. Last 2 in centre wing, Kale Ito and Brian To'o. Matt, they're ones that people are discussing selling just because maybe for Kale Ito, the tries haven't been coming like what they hoped. The base plus power still a bit strong. Brian To'o, they're looking at Tommy Jenkins scoring 1,000 tries. His base plus power has definitely dipped so far this season as well. Tube's actually put up a good theory that maybe they're just trying to protect him a little bit more, not make him do as much work as he has in the past. Matt, just very quickly on those guys, do you have them down as decent sells?
Iro, no. I'd be holding Iro. Dan is an owner, so I'll let him talk to that. To'o, I can see why you might sell with the work rate. What about that try? He's got a 50 on the weekend, and he's got a try. He got the most unbelievable try ever. I don't know if they gave him those kick gather points, but my goodness, what a try! He looks.
They don't give those anymore.
He looks fit and lean. I don't know, if he's lost a little bit of weight or I don't know what it is, but the work's just not there for Toto, and he's going to have some good scores. He's going to get some more tries, but I'm just not seeing the base power that I want to see from Toto, so I can see why people would move him on. And I'll let Dan talk about Hero.
Dan?
Yeah, I would not be moving on Toto. Like, his price isn't extreme.
I said Hero, not Toto.
No, I know, but I'm just saying on that point. But like you like to do, you like to just talk about everyone and everything. I did want to talk about Cal Hero. I think it's Hero time, specifically because Teague Wilton is back in that side, and I'm assuming he will go to the left edge. The Sharkies shape with Teague Wilton. Teague runs a really good kind of hard, solid line cutting back in, but it really opens up the out the back ball for Hero and gives him a lot of time and space. I think the time has come now for Hero to start getting over the line. And as an owner, I'm hoping that's the case. They haven't looked for him near the line. It just hasn't looked great in terms of the attacking options out there. They're going over him or giving him ball when he doesn't really want the ball, not in space. So I'm just definitely going to hold him. I see him as an end-game top 4 centre wing. I wouldn't be looking to buy until you see a little bit of an upside, and I think his break-even's still high as well. So you're probably going to get him
94.
a little bit. Yeah, going to get him possibly a little bit cheaper. But yeah, strong hold for me.
Yeah, I don't fully disagree on Toto, but I can see the reason why that people would sell. But yeah, I'm with you on Hero all the way.
All right, fullbacks. We're only talking about 2 of them today. It's Su'A-Fa'alongo. Matt, I just want to hear from you because I know over the weekend you watched him closely. I mean, you've owned all year, but I think your expectations are starting to change around him for his long-term status. He's starting to think he might hang around in our teams longer than what you originally expected.
For sure, what we originally expected. He's blown all preseason expectations out of the park. I just would be worried in a good team moving him on. It's going to really come down to, can he maintain this level of sort of underlying stats and involvement to maintain his place in our teams beyond next week or the week after when he maxes out, starts to get up there in price. He'll be up in the 700Ks after this week, probably potentially nudging 800K with a big score. So it's just, is he as good of option then as a Reece Walsh or a Turbo or a Teddy to keep holding? And I think the answer is potentially yes. Like when Storm have good matchups, which is going to be a lot, he's a go-to guy. We see it in the attack. That sweep play he runs on the right. Then we see him bobbing up on the left. He's everywhere. So I can see him being a top 3 fullback this year without a doubt.
Dan, what about Keanu Kinney? Last week we kind of said that he was a fine guy to sell on to Su'A-Fa'alongo. What do you think about Kinney if he's your only way to Reece Walsh? Would you do it?
I wouldn't this week. I want to give Kinney one more chance. I love Kinney. I don't know if you watch the Titans games the last few rounds, they have been absolutely terrible. And the only shining light for him is how hard Keanu Kinney is working for them. Like, he's just accept. He's taken so many hits. They're putting hospital balls to him and he's just copping it and getting up and going again. I love Keanu Kinney. I could definitely move him on if he doesn't have a breakout game against the Dragons this week because their run gets tough, Titans are looking terrible, and it's just such a prime position. You want the big boys, the big premiums in fullback. So give him one more round and could be move on next week.
All right, let's move now down to what I think this week is a really, really interesting segment. We're going to talk through the captaincy chat. This is big because this week, for one, a lot of people might only have 18 or 19 players, so therefore the VC comes in as a massive option. Plus, there are some really good options for the premium players. So, Matt, I'm going to start with you. First of all, looking at not just your own team, but looking at for super coaches out there, who do you think are both the best VC and C options for super coaches?
VC, there are a plethora of options this week. The Thursday night game, Teddy and Turbo are the really obvious ones there. But I think if there is that rain in that game, I'll probably be looking at Su'A-Fa'alongo still. If I owned Reece Walsh, I would probably VC him versus the Dolphins on Friday night. But I think that I'll probably stick true. I think Su'A-Fa'alongo is just the archetypical VC, perfect VC. Now that we know that he's got that ceiling, I wouldn't feel uncomfortable captaining him, but I wouldn't feel comfortable at the same time. So,
Matt, can I just interject to ask a question there? Not that I disagree with what you're saying about him, Then who's your C after Sewer Fa'alongo? Because Nathan Cleary plays before him.
Yeah.
So if Sewer's your VC, you're leaving out Cleary?
I got my game order slightly mixed up there,
Yeah,
Jonathan.
gotcha.
So yeah, I'll probably, if in that case, then I would be VCing Turbo Thursday night.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cleary is the obvious C. I would get around a Hudson Young C as well versus Sharks if I own him. I've seen a lot of chat about Holmes C. I don't hate it, but there's always an element of risk associated with captain in a centre wing. So I think, him and Herbie are the two that you can do it with for sure. But last game of the round, so times well. Yeah, I think Cleary, Sewer, and Val are kind of the three options for captain.
Awesome. Dan, what are you looking at?
Yeah, I was reflecting for the Supercoaches out there that have Cody Walker. I think that's a great idea. What Matt said is you want to be fluid during the rounds because I think optimally you probably want to nail your VC. The tricky thing is because Pez it's against Cleary, you can't really have Cleary as the VC in that scenario. So that's a bit tough. You have to go earlier than the Panthers game this week. And for me, I want to drop a front row forward because that's the weakest position this week with all the outs there. So I probably, like a lot of super coaches, you're going to have to go early in the round. VC, 100% if you own Reece Walsh, you've got to put it on Reece Walsh this week. Like it's just, could be absolutely anything. I'm looking for Turbo VC just because of the timings of the games. Probably going Captain Cleary. I don't see Fa'alongo as a bad captain option. I think it's a little bit riskier, and I really see Val as a great captain option. I'm a bit unlike Matty with that sort of centre wing is a bit of a risk. I see zero risk barring injury on Val Holmes this week. Floor is definitely going to be there, and he's got a potential massive ceiling against the Titans at Seabus on a Sunday afternoon or evening.
Yeah, I think you guys have summed up really well. I would just say that if you're a Cleary and Walsh double owner, I would not even look at any other option except for VC Walsh C Cleary. I think you'd be silly to consider anything else. One of those two will pop off this week. So that's just my first point. But I agree. I think the rest of you have summed it up beautifully. I love Teddy against the Sea Eagles if the weather's nice too.
Yeah.
If I own Teddy, like 12% of Supercoaches do, I think that's an unbelievable captain.
Even if it's not nice, I would.
Yeah,
if I own Teddy, I'd be VCing him for sure. I'd be VCing him over Walsh. I think if I own both,
Really?
Not many will own both. But yeah,
nah,
yeah,
and I think there's merit to it. I don't hate it. What about sit starts this week? It's tricky because I think a lot of people don't have to make a lot of decisions this week. Dan, of the kind of more popular cheapies, maybe potentially if you're looking in that centre wing spot, who are the guys that if you can, you would prefer to sit out of your team this week in Supercoach?
Definitely sit out Faimani from what I watched last week. He's just not getting involved enough. When he takes a hit up, he's absolutely gassed. He's just not going to get I don't think he's going to get the consistent output for his base work. I mean, we didn't see him touch the ball once in the attacking 20. I don't think Titans even reached the attacking 20, maybe 3 or 4 times in the game. So he's a definite sit this week, even against the Dragons. Moses Leo, I played him over Chan, and I really don't like the look of him on my side, but I think you've got to play him this week. I think he's probably due against the Cowboys. They, even though I think the Titans broke through them outside of their attacking 20, but they did look very, very leaky. Jaden Campbell running off a hit up, scoring a try. We saw Adam Dewey do the same. They're just so leaky through there. So yeah, I think probably Moses Leo will play. Setu 2, I think is a different play. We saw a good base output from him. 50 points. He's up against the Titans. So probably Moses Leo and Setu 2 plays. I could go either way on Makasini though, Matty. What do you think?
Yeah, that's a tough matchup. I mean, I've been super impressed with Makasini. I feel he's got a safer floor than both 2 and Faimani. I'm not keen on Faimani or 2, if I'm honest. I would probably go 2 over Faimani. Makasini, yeah. I'm going to have to, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm going to have to play nearly all of them anyway, so it doesn't really like
exactly. But that is a tough, that Warriors on a Friday night in New Zealand. That's a notoriously tough matchup, as the podfather likes to say. That's a really tough one for Makasini.
Big question here is, do you play like your crappy third front row forward, or like a Paseka or a Ho? I don't know. A lot of people are going to have to start one of those guys, and I'm one of them. But do you play I might have to start both of them, to be honest. Like if you don't sell Haas, then you're every chance your front row is Ho and Paseka. Do you run out those guys if you've got a choice between them and a Setutu or a Faimani?
Against Faimani, yes, I could do that because I just know they're probably going to punch out a 45 to a 65. Faimani, I'm just not sure what he's doing at the moment. Setutu, I love the upside against the Titans this week, so I'm happy to. I'm always happy to take a centre wing flyer. It didn't work out for me last week with the sit starts. I think I started 2 reserve centre wings over the likes of Ho and Couchman, and it didn't work out. And Jackie Chan, Joe Tan. But I think most of the time you're looking for the upside, the attacking upside of the centre wings over those guys.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, Ballers, that pretty much brings us out to a close. It is a tricky week out there this week, so hopefully that can help make some of these trade decisions a little bit easier for you. We went in depth and, we hope you enjoyed every part of it and hopefully we didn't muddy the water. Hopefully we cleared it up for you. Fellas, I can't believe I started this podcast by making a reference to my wife calling me daddy. I hope she doesn't listen to this, or I could be spending some time.
Cutting room floor.
We'll see if I can work it around. But boys, it's been an absolute pleasure. Absolutely loving doing the podcast on a Tuesday night with you two this year and enjoying your expert opinions. Good luck this week. Danny boy, you got anything for us before you head out? What are you thinking moving forward about the Sunday Snap this week? You excited?
Oh, I thought I was going to get an invitation to the Sunday Snap there. That was that was exciting me a little bit.
How low does Tubes have to drop off the Sunday Snap? Danny an invite.
Could be only one more bad week away. But Tubes and I will be back, hopefully, this week to review the round 4 games. And as always, get over to the Ballers Only Discord, baller.live/Discord, to give us your rage trades and ready to explode. And keep an eye on all the Baller socials. Baller SuperCoach and Baller NRL is the place to search. Get in the Discord. Get over baller.live to get the edge on your competition using the comprehensive stats that are available. Matt, anything else you want to tell us quickly about Baller before we wrap it up?
Mate, your second screen while the game's on, baller.live. Fastest scores in Supercoach by a mile. Crazy if you're not using it.
Beautiful. Danny boy, bring us home.
You beauty.